Hi, welcome and thank you for tuning in today. My name is Mary Calhoun Brown. I'm the author of There Are No Words, which just won Outstanding Book for Young People with Disabilities 2011 by the IBI Center in Norway. I'm very proud to say. Today I am video blogging and answering some questions from educators about their children who have autism or Asperger syndrome. I am the parent of a child with Asperger syndrome, and I advocate for adults and children with autism in my hometown and across America. I also do speaking engagements and creative writing workshops in classrooms and teachers' conferences. So without any further introduction, first let me say, if you have a question for me, I'd be happy to answer it. You're welcome to contact me on the contact tab at www.marycalhounbrown.com, and I'll answer it as quickly as possible. Okay, so let's go straight to the first question. And here's the question. The teacher says, I'm working on writing an IEP goal for a little one who mostly does parallel play or just wanders the room, grabs things from others, and then throws them. I'm thinking for the annual goal I would write something like, child will expand his play repertoire to include manipulation, sensory motor, art experiences, music experiences, building/construction, and early cognitive sorting, matching puzzles activities. But I can't think of what to write for the short-term instructional objectives. Any ideas? Thanks. Well, first let me say thank you for sending me the question. I always love to hear from teachers out there, and I know that it's sometimes a struggle working with kids who are on the autism spectrum, but it can also be one of the most fulfilling experiences that you'll have. And now here's my answer. Maybe for his IEP, you could list expand his play repertoire as the larger goal, and then list the ways in which you would like to see that growth exhibited, for example, sorting, as a short-term goal, depending on how often you have him each week. Obviously, he's not going to start adding new things all at once, but here are the few of the things that I used to do in my preschool classroom to encourage the students to branch out. In the morning, toys were closed until everyone had spent time at the art table, and most of the kids knew what closed meant. My one darling Aspie did not like to get his hands dirty, but he loved to make animal puppets with popsicle sticks. I can't tell you how many popsicle stick animal puppets I made that year once he decided to like to do this, but he didn't even mind the glue, which was a big step for him. I also made a sand table minus the sand to help with the mess. I took one of those shallow Tupperware containers that has a lid, and I put a mix of a bunch of leftover craft items like macaroni, glitter, seashells, buttons, rice, birdseed, whatever you happen to have on hand that's a little bit extra, and I dumped it all in there. Then we put some sand play toys in there, and the kids went nuts, especially our special needs kids. They found treasure in there, and they used their fine motor skills to do it. So that was one way where we were working fine motor, but they didn't realize what they were doing. They were sifting through the sand to find a seashell or a penny or something like that, and they just loved doing it. And the special needs kids especially like to have their fingers, feel their fingers through the rice and through the macaroni. Another thing we did was we used a bucket full of warm soapy water and put water toys to encourage pouring, and that was very messy, so have lots of towels handy, but it was a great experience, and it taught the kids a lot about pouring, and also the kids with special needs got a chance to do that. One thing that we also did was we stood at when we were standing in line, we sang songs, and more often than not, the children got to choose the songs. And I like the songs that encouraged motion, like Beanbag Balance, if you're familiar with that, it's a great one, and Head, Shoulders, Knees, and Toes, and the kids really liked that, and they'd like to put in their own body parts also. For gross motor, I took lots and lots of different colors of masking tape. That's one of my favorite things. And I made an obstacle course in our little playroom. And sometimes they'd have to jump with 2 feet, and other times they used just 1 foot. My little Aspie had some trouble with balance, so this was tough for him, but I would do it with him holding his hand, and I would fall on purpose sometimes, and the children thought that was just hilarious. was a riot when Mrs. Brown would fall. But we also followed a line heel to toe, and those were all things that were outlined in his IEP, but we had the whole class do it so that he wasn't being singled out. And they all needed help with that, believe it or not. As for taking things from other students, well, you know, you're kind of on your own there. We had a little girl who once did that, and she was from a daycare setting, and she'd just been placed in our preschool. We decided that she didn't care if she got in trouble or not because she didn't really love us. She didn't have a relationship with us. She needed to develop that relationship first, and then she would worry about disappointing us. So we heaped the love on that little girl. Not an easy task all of the time because she was difficult to get along with. And I want you to know that that approach worked. She became loved by all of us. She loved us. Her behavior cleared up, and she was really sweet after that, and we didn't have any problems. So we really had to work on developing a caring relationship with her before we started to discipline her, because she didn't care so much about the discipline because she didn't care about us. So anyway, good luck with your IEP, and I wish you the best. And thanks again for sending in your question. Now, I'm going to put up once again, my low-tech website thing. My website is www.marycalhounbrown.com, and I'd love to answer your question the next time. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you later.